only wants you to make good beer and have fun hanging out with your friends. Here's Dono. Today on the program, we are using a malt I may not have ever used. I definitely am familiar with the name of Dingemans from Belgium. I'm sure I've used some of their malt, and I may have used this. But as you can see, we have a giant sack of malt. So my plan is to almost do a total smash beer, but I think just for S&Gs, I do have this Carafa 3 special type 3. So this is the dehust, I'm pretty sure. So the idea there is it will give you some color, but not as much flavor as the other regular Carafas. I believe there's like 1, 2, and 3, but I did confirm on this this website from where I got this that this is the special one. So this is dehust. I also took a little nibble of it. It doesn't have a lot of flavor. It does have a little tiny bit of flavor, but I think what I'm going to do is just use 1 ounce, just 28 grams, just to see if I get a little bit of color. Why would I do that? I don't know. Just because I know what 100% Pils beer looks like, and I'm just kind of curious to experiment. I know that if I use 4 ounces, I know that it will make the whole thing pretty dark, because I have done that in the past. As far as hops goes, I have 1 remaining ounce of CTZ that I also got when I got this malt. I had my friend, I think I commented on this, just buy me some Carapils, Munich, a bunch of different hops. And so with the sacks of malt that we have, and then I have in this bin over here, this is where the premium Pils from RAR is, then I can just sort of cobble together some recipes in this new landscape of not having a local homebrew store. And as for yeast, kind of along that note, somebody said get back to showing the pickled beans. So here's some of them here, but this is only about a quarter of the jars I made. No, more than that. A third. Anyway, I've got 3 of these with washed global lager, and honestly, what I normally do is make a starter out of that, and that is totally sufficient. So yes, I probably will do 8 or 9 pounds. I've thought about doing even lower gravity, like 7 or 8 pounds, but I think for this one, I'm feeling like 9 pounds. So I did measure out 9 pounds of that. I had to get a new scale because the one I had for I don't know how many years finally died. But anyway, Mr. Owl, how many tablespoons does it take to get to 28 grams? A 1, a 2, it's gonna be, what? A 3. Alright, so there we got an ounce. A whole whopping ounce, less than 3 tablespoons of this special Carafa dehust malt. I think I did a shot of this from in the house, but yeah, here's my St. Paul yard, February 1st. Not normally what you would be seeing. At any rate, to the matter at hand, it has been an hour of boiling, and I added 1/2 of an ounce of this at 14.2 alpha acid for a beer. That's probably gonna be in the 1040s. And here is the other half. So yeah, I didn't want to make it overly bitter, but this will this will give it a little bit of bitterness. I mean, the thing that's got me most curious so far is the color is quite a bit darker than I expected. I did run it through some kind of beer tools thing, and it said without the Carafa 3, I think it said 3 or 4 SRM. And then if I added 1 ounce in the tool, it went up to like 5 or 6. So it didn't really go up that much at all, and it still was looking like a yellow beer, but now it definitely is looking more like a amber beer, at least in the 5-gallon amount. Although I did take some out in that cup, that 2-cup thing. Anyway, it'll be fine, but we will see. So here we are, about to pitch the yeast. Look at this color. I just find this interesting, how much color it got from just 1 ounce of that stuff. I know I've said this several times, but and I'll probably say it again, because I've used a lot more of that stuff in other batches and gotten them pretty dark, but I just did not expect that. Anyway, my volume was a tiny bit low into the fermenter here, so I did add 1 quart of cold water to bring it up to 5 gallons. So what I will do is a little math calculation and adjust the gravity. That's not too tough. 1 quart is about 1/20th of the total volume, so it looks like it's going to be around 1050 or just over, so I'll have to just decrease it by what, 5%, so 2-3 points. I'll just do some math and get this aerated and get it going. So yesterday I came down here and looked at this, and it was starting to ferment some, but not as much as I would have liked, and that would have been the day after I brewed. Right now it's 2 days after I brewed, and yes, it's a lager, and yes, it's cold, so it will take longer to get going. However, my previous beer that I made that was about the same gravity, and I did the same yeast starter, it had gotten going a little bit faster, and it was the same temp. So what I did is I just took one of my other jars of the washed yeast. See, there used to be 2 remaining, now there's just 1. So I just took one of it, swirled it up. I mean, I dumped off all of the top liquid as much as I needed to, and I just swirled it up, and I just dumped it in, and I'm kind of making a note of that just to remind myself that I did that. And this washed yeast was washed yeast from a beer that I made that already was used with washed yeast. So that would mean it was the, what, 3rd generation? And I think that that's something that a lot of people do, reusing yeast, so on and so forth, from one batch to the next. But I don't usually do that. I usually would have just started with another packet, but since I had this batch and I could wash it, I thought, why not? Anyway, just making a note for the historical records. Alrighty then. So, that actually works as far as a visual goes. So this is what I started calling it kind of as a joke, as amber pills. I wasn't trying to make it actually technically amber, but that is what you get for 1 ounce of Carafa 3 dehusked special.
AAP, American Amber Pills.
As you saw in the lead up. It is March 14th today. I kegged this on February 14th, coincidentally. It was a 1048 beer down to 1.007 for an ABV of 5.4. And kind of the funny thing is this beer and that rice lager, I wasn't trying to make a session beer, but I was trying to make a lower gravity beer for myself. And that was as low as I could get, was like 1048 and like 1046 or 7 or whatever that other one is. But I'll go lower. I'll do it. I have some recipes. What is to say about this? So again, I did half an ounce of CTZ at the bittering instead of 0.25 ounce or 7 grams for this rice lager. So we were talking before we started rolling that this beer is fine. Mine's cloudy right now because I picked up the keg. But I thought that it could have more bitterness. And that's what I said in the video, and that's kind of what I thought. So then when I was brewing this beer, I thought, okay, well, let me not do 1/4 ounce. Let me do 1/2 ounce. And a side note, the Maibach that will be next is 1 ounce of 11% at bittering. Whoa!
Because of the gravity.
Because of the gravity, but also, yes, that's a 1065 beer. That's pleasant. It fermented 50 to 52. So really, the most interesting thing.
God, that's still what your basement is? Just
well, this was like
a month ago
in February.
But that's ambient.
Yeah.
Hardcore, man.
Well, I mean, it's also my cold corner closet.
Right.
In fact, I think in the video, I don't know if it's in this video, but sometimes I gotta take it out of that closet to get it
warmed
up into the 50s.
I know.
Otherwise, it's 47 and it's not fermenting very much. This beer is clear. It's a, you know, it's just an interesting observation how much color changes. I did actually put this one into the tools. You were asking about that before just to see the color. And I can't remember what it said, but it was something like, it went from like 3 or 4 SRM to like 5 or 6. I mean, it was on paper not that much of a change. And I don't know if
until
this
you added the ounce?
No, with
of darker?
Yes, it went up to 5 or 6, you know, which is darker than 3 or 4. I'm just kind of guessing at what the number said, but I'm looking at this like, is this a 5 or 6 SRM, or is this 7 or 8? You know, like it just seems like it got darker than I thought. That's what I'm like getting at.
I mean, when you plugged in the dark malt number, it boop.
Yeah.
Even at that low, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You can see.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 28 grams,
like
1 ounce.
Amber-ish lager.
Yeah, amberish.
I mean, the thing that jumps out from the very beginning is like that CTZ is like a much bigger danky punch, which I was just at a thing last month that talked about what does dank actually mean. This is kind of what dank means to me.
Oh, I don't know.
You don't think so?
Well,
it's
no,
also toasty,
I don't, because it's still... Maybe the CTZ hop itself could give you that, but then I feel like I would need more of it in there to get what I would describe as dank or a different hop.
I feel like it's a dank lager. It's not a dank
yeah.
ale. But the biggest impression I get right off the top is like dank, weedy, armpity, not in a bad way. Like these other descriptors. We've talked about this even since it was young. I thought it was like, oh crap.
You have said that. I have never thought that.
That's wild that you don't get. But I also get this like increasingly toasty note from just a combo of that Pils malt, probably graininess, toasty, cracker, and then this little bit of like black malt doing good work of coming off as not roasted barley, but it is definitely toastier than a Maibach.
I mean, it's not supposed to have almost any flavor, and if it was contribute any flavor, the special, the Carafa 3 Special D-Husk, it would have to, I would assume, take more of it to give you, you know, some flavor. So I don't know if that's, it could be suggestive.
But maybe with just that percentage up against those hops, I mean, you can't argue that, like,
I don't know.
It ain't, it's not about all of the elements at play. I mean, just like black IPA. This is no black IPA, but the point is, like, as roast goes up or down, and bitterness and hop flavor, like, you start getting different overall impressions. And to me, this is like, this is a fairly dank Vienna lager-ish kind of beer. What do you think when you go back to this?
Well, I just think that this definitely has, if you were to send this to a lab, this would have more IBUs, you know, in the beer. I mean, like, it's supposed to because of the way I added the hops, but it just has a little bit more bitterness, and absolutely not like too much still, you know, not like in a bad way. But it's also a light beer. It's not, you know, this big malty bill and grist to support a huge amount of hops. So the takeaways I think are interesting is what 1 ounce of that stuff can do. The Dingman's Pills, I have a hard time comparing it to all of the other Pils malts that I've used in memory. I mean, you would almost have to do more of like a side-by-side and do like, I mean, this is like 99%, you know, Dingman's Pills. It's like barely anything else but that. It's certainly a tasty
toasty,
beer.
I would say. And if, to your point, if this much black malt or this much Kraffa wouldn't lean that, then this is,
Maybe
let's
it's
say,
the Dingman's Pills.
right, that Pils malt might actually be very toasty. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know this versus that, what its level bond is versus others. I should, but the point is, you've also had a lot of Maibogs that come across very nicely toasty that could easily be this Belgian Pils malt. So
Yeah.
it's not out of the realm of speculation that is leading us to a toasty thing. But I know it's only 1 ounce, but man, I feel like that malt is doing something that's not roasted barley, but it's not unlike a bump up of the toast level of this beer.
If you do
then you get the dank.
taste the malt, which I did eat a little bit. It's not like it doesn't taste like anything. It's not like it's an absolutely neutral, just grainy fiber that you're just crunching on. It does have a taste.
Rice lager.
Yeah, maybe that, which I haven't done that yet. I haven't just stuck torrefied rice into my gob. We could do that sometime. But the point is, like, you might be right, but it's just such a small quantity. Like, I would not. You keep saying black malt. Black malt is a malt, and this is like not black malt. But
still,
it did give it a little color. I mean, basically, guys and gals, this is a MacGyver beer that I put together with stuff that's on hand, and you know,
it's a surprising amount of color for an ounce.
Yeah, 1 ounce.
I think is your point.
28 grams, and I do like the level of bitterness more in this compared to this, which is just kind of a learning point to myself. You know, I didn't want to overly bitter this, as I said in the video, so I was really careful. I wouldn't have had to be quite as careful. I mean, this is a perfectly fine.
Is there more CTZ towards the end of boil in this, or is this just bitter?
So the other one was 0.25 Chinook, 0.75. This is 0.5. So it's double the bittering hop. And I would have turned off the boil and added the ½ ounce, as opposed to what I did with the rice lager is I turned off the boil and I let it cool down. And then I added the 0.75.
This has what I would consider an American lager vibe in the way that we call anything that's
hoppier.
Ramped, bitterer,
maybe
stronger. Yeah, it seems like
American amber pills.
West Coast amber pills because of its little bit of dankness that you won't acknowledge, but still, it's there. I mean, that's what CTZ is supposed to do. I learned recently, like, it is the go-to hop for doing this.
Then it is suggestive for you. You're looking for that flavor.
I'm not looking for it. Like,
not in a bad way.
I got that before you even told me what it was 3 times ago or 4 times ago.
Alrighty then.
I feel like, I don't know, it just jumps out of the... So, what is the hop quality to you that jumps out?
I don't get a lot of flavor. I just get, like, bitterness. Yeah.
So the flavor is more of this, like, malty...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And a little, as we talked too, like, a light butter note that comes and goes with this glass, then that, you know, then it's not in that glass, or it's warmer, or it's colder, which just is... I mean, I watch my fermentation steps and temperatures, and I bring it upstairs to warm up, and I make the yeast starter, and I aerate with pure O2, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's not anything off-putting, but, yeah, so it's just the nice malt character, and, like, the reasonably kind of moderate bitterness. Not high, but, like, moderate, I would say. So, yeah, I like it. You know, we're doing what we can. One of these days, I swear to God, I'm going to order a bunch of ingredients so I can make beers that I want to make, and when I do that, you will be the first to know. How do you like that?
Kitchen sink be damned.
I win. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Catch you later.